Speaking of plumbers, have you seen the new
Mario.
trailer? Yeah, the new Mario
No, I haven't seen
trailer.
the Mario trailer. I'm afraid
There's
to.
there's an actual trailer now,
Oh, okay.
and yeah, Chris
Star
Pratt,
Lord.
Star
Yeah.
Lord Chris Pratt, just is Chris Pratt.
Oh, well,
He doesn't try to be Mario.
that's probably a good thing.
It probably is.
This is probably a good show topic right here.
It probably is.
It was really good. Our best stuff is for starting the show. We could put this in here somewhere. But yeah,
Maybe
the
we
best
should
part,
just start the show.
I think we should just start the show.
I think if I can find the video, we'll start the
Yeah,
show.
this is great.
It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Poe. Man, how you doing?
I am doing good, my friend. I'm doing
Good.
very well.
Don't you love the world of post-editing? I love it. As you can tell,
Did
between
you change shirts between the intro and now? Just
oh,
now?
maybe.
Well,
That's
I
right.
changed my lighting too, as you can
You know,
see.
I mean, we're all about continuity, right? That's why we have all this money to hire a continuity advisor. Always
If
like
you're
that.
watching right now and you can tell what changed, then send us an email
Yeah. Why not?
and we might give you a prize.
Yeah, we might. We might.
We might.
The might is the big word. Not might.
Might.
But might.
Maybe.
Might.
Maybe we'll give you a prize.
That's right.
And my children will tell you, maybe means no.
Yeah. Pretty much. To me, it's a stall tactic, you know.
Yes.
Just to leave me alone long
no, I'm
enough to
sorry.
have a little bit of help.
I'm sorry.
And-
According to my kids, we'll see
We'll see.
means no. We'll see
Yes.
means no in my house.
Yes. Yeah.
When when Daddy says we'll see,
yeah.
that means no.
Yeah, maybe is mine. It's easy to say. It's quick. But after a while, they catch on, you know.
They do.
Yeah,
They
they
get
catch
older
on.
and they get
They do.
smarter.
Smarter. That's
It's a
smarter.
flaw that children have. They get smarter.
Man. Well, we got some stuff. I guess, you know, there's...
We do have some stuff.
some stuff tonight. Again, we... several things kind of popped up in the Instagram and different feeds that we came across. And one of them is The Mandalorian. It will...
Yes.
Season 3 will come out and debut on March the 1st, 2013. Now, that's...
I'm surprised it's that late in that it's going to be March.
Yeah.
'Cause didn't the last couple times, didn't it start just before January?
I think
started
it-
mid-December.
after the first of the year. Yes,
Yep.
that's what I remember. But and of course, too, you know, things can change. We've had, you know, Disney Plus shows that were announced to be one day and then either pushed back, and we even had them pull up forward too. It just
Yeah.
really depends.
Couple weeks, a couple times.
But I think now that they don't do the whole, because for a while they was trying to do like Friday nights were the big deal, you know, and
Yeah.
they were trying to do that, and they didn't want Marvel and their Star Wars franchise to compete. Now it doesn't really matter, I guess, the way they're doing it now. But
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah,
Who knows?
I think that will become less and less a thing.
I do too. I don't have an image of this, or those who are listening. Another trailer came out for Galaxy of the Guardians.
You mean Guardians of the Galaxy?
Galaxy of the Gardens? Do they have
Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's what I said. Galaxy of the Gardeners. I don't.
Okay.
I'm saying the
Okay.
same thing. So anyway, it's yeah, it's yeah, Sprocket and Tubbs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
Yes,
anyway.
they dropped a new trailer
Yes.
for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 this week.
that's right, 3. So it's a darker
is.
tone, isn't it?
It is. It does seem a little darker, and Rocket has a new friend,
Is it a weasel? Is a
or
ferret,
a ferret?
or a weasel?
I'm
I
not
don't-
sure. It's one of the two.
Yeah,
I don't know the difference.
But it almost seems like it's like a real, not as if it's
Yeah, like it seems to be a real animal, not
Yeah,
like
not
a
a-
humanoid animal.
yeah.
Could be wrong.
Who knows?
Of course, Astro, the dog, the space dog, is it Astro
yes,
from Sputnik?
yes,
The Sputnik
yes.
dog that was
Yes.
in the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. You know, he's a regular animal, but he talks.
But he's talk. Well, he telekinesis. Yeah,
Yeah, something
The
like
whole-
that.
the whole
I
big
don't
thing.
know
I
how
don't
that
know.
works.
I don't know either.
But we hear him. So
Yeah, basically. So there
so
you
I don't
go.
know if that's the deal or not.
I'm a little concerned about that.
And
Is
Gamora is back.
I saw that. In first, I thought, is it a flashback? But it almost seems like it's almost it doesn't seem like a flashback to me. It's almost like
No. And she looks mad.
yeah, she does look mad. Yeah, there's a lot of anguish in this trailer between
Yes.
Peter, Rocket. You can tell that I don't know. It seems like Rocket's kind of done. Even in one of the phrases, he says, "I'm done running," and
Yeah.
it's almost as if he's tired. And there's a more serious tone to Rocket than normal. And even though there's a little, there's bits and pieces of humor, it seems more of a serious tone in this particular trailer. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some weird little things. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get too deep into the trailer,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
just because that's not the point of the show. But when it starts out, they land on something that looks like Earth, but it seems a whole lot more like Zootopia.
Yes, it does. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there's that one scene with the ball
Yeah,
and the little girl. But anyway,
yeah. If you haven't seen the trailer, you definitely need to check it out.
yeah, check it out.
Like you said, Mike, it is a lot darker. There's bad things happening there. I just can't tell what.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Also, too, there was a Indiana Jones trailer just came out. The Dial of Destiny, which is, I guess they just pulled a name out of the hat. I really liked how after the third
Dial
one, they
of
kind of.
Destiny.
I really like after
like they gave up.
Yeah, they gave up after the third.
Yeah.
It's like they looked around the room and they said, right now, let me think if I can do something. Lamp of coffee. So, you just put a couple of things you look at and then you
The
give it the
something
title.
of something.
The
Yeah,
something
it
of
does-
something.
It does seem like a little bit like a Mad Lib. It's
Yeah,
the
it does.
something of something. Let's see.
Exactly.
It could be the wall clock of forgiveness. No, that destiny. Destiny's a good word. Of destiny. It could be the camera of destiny.
It could be taking a shower and they see a Dial soap and they go, the Dial of
The
Destiny.
dial of destiny.
There
Yes.
you go.
That could be it. I don't know,
Zesty.
but that is kind of that. We're gonna talk more about that in the rest
Yeah.
of the show, though.
Yeah, we will.
So, but if you haven't seen that trailer, definitely check it out. It's worth watching.
It is, really.
Mike and I have made our comments multiple times on how excited or not excited we are about
Yeah,
this
exactly.
particular. I'm interested to see what Mike feels if the trailer has made any difference. But we'll get to
talk-
that
we'll
a
get
little
that
bit
in a minute.
later in the show. Any other nerdy news that we have?
Well, we've talked about it for a while in the possibility. DC, of course, James
Yep.
Gunn is kind of, I don't know who he's partnered with, but to oversee the DC franchise. And more, from my doing the research, James Gunn is more involved than originally I thought. He made the statement again, James Gunn, inspiration for DC isn't Marvel, it's Star Wars, which I thought was interesting.
What does that mean?
I think in a statement, from what I read, basically it has to do with he wants to create an entire universe like Star Wars has, where there's
Okay.
several stories. But I don't know how that's different than the MCU universe. But apparently, he wants to take a more of approach of, I guess,
Maybe he means that the stories don't necessarily build on each other, but have threads that
I
connect
guess so.
them. Because Marvel kind of does build on itself.
Yes, it does.
Like if you miss a major Marvel film, you might not realize why things are
Yeah.
happening in the next movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that
So
could
maybe
be. That
that's what
makes
he means.
sense.
But I mean, in Star Wars, as long as you see the three together,
Exactly.
like if you see the first three, they make sense. If you see the next three, they make sense. If you see the last three, they kind of make sense.
Yeah.
The last three is kind of a bit of a train wreck just because they changed
Yeah.
they changed direction halfway through, and then they decided to change the whole direction back.
Well, it's
and then we've
interesting.
got these individual
Yeah.
shows that kind of stand on their own, that
Well, I
don't
think- yeah.
really rely on everything else, but we still see types and shadows, as
You
they
know,
say.
this has been a story for a while for DC where they've tried to get their hand on some type of continuity in a universe, and they've seemed like they've failed in a lot of that. They tried that with the Zack Snyder universe, which I love Zack Snyder. I think he would have been great at
Yeah.
putting this together. I'm sure Peter Gunn is fine too. I think may have learned a lot from being over at Marvel. Who knows what he's going to bring over? But again, you see the films that are coming up, like The Flash. Are they going to continue using the actors in the shows that has some continuity to it? Because when they first came in,
Yeah.
when they were bought out by Discovery, they basically said, we're going to retool everything. But it feels weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
Are they saying James Gunn? And I can't remember the other guy's name. Are we gonna,
Saffron.
Saf-
I don't remember his first name, but his last name is
Yeah.
Saffron.
So anyway,
Yeah.
it's
I'm
interesting.
Not quite
I don't
sure
know.
how that's all going to shake out.
Yeah, it's-
because just before the announcement, we
Yeah.
get a big spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Black Adam, we get the return of Henry Cavill
Exactly.
as Superman, and also Henry Cavill. This is kind of related. Henry Cavill has resigned from The Witcher
Exactly.
and is going to be replaced by Helmsworth.
his brother, not Chris Helmsworth, but his brother.
His
Can't-
brother, I
Yeah.
can't remember his first name, but so the character's going to exist, but he's going to resign from the Witcher project,
Interesting. Yeah.
which
There's a big
leads me to think
Yeah.
that we're probably going to get more Superman in the DCU soon.
and I hope so because I really like Henry Cavill. Yeah,
Yep.
I really like him. A lot of people really give him a hard time with the Man of Steel, but the deal is
Yeah.
that he can only play Superman and can only act what the directors and what the scripts gives him.
Yes,
But I think he's a perfect Superman, and
he does a really great job with what they gave him to
Yeah.
work with.
Yeah, I mean
Yes.
he just really fits that character. They asked Amy Adams if she would come back as Lois Lane, and she said, "Well, if they ask me, I will." But I don't know. See, that's the thing. I don't know how much they're going to change. How much how much they're going to bring over the stuff from the Justice League, or are they going to do something totally different? I mean, we've heard rumors about Ben Affleck and how sometimes how they're talking to him as maybe
Yep.
coming back in smaller roles, or I don't know. And right now we have the Flash supposed to be around the corner with, with
Yeah, and is Ezra
Michael
Miller
Keaton? Yeah.
going to be allowed to stay? That's a big question mark.
he's a loose
You know,
cannon, Mister. Yeah.
He's done some things that have really set things back for
Yeah.
Warner Brothers and DC. So, are they going to allow him to stay or
Yeah.
not? I read this week actually that there was a project that was I don't know, was it ever officially announced, or was it just lots and lots of rumors and people saying, "Oh yeah, we're definitely doing that," but
Yeah.
nothing officially from Warner Brothers. But that there's going to be a Black Superman movie, an African American Superman movie.
Yes, I thought that's what my understanding is. With and I know with Cavell coming back, is that being scratched or not?
Well, what I read this week was that it's still on the slate. It hasn't been canceled necessarily, but I don't know that it was ever fully slated. I don't know what their process looks like.
Well, if they're trying to do a kind of a canon universe, I'm not for sure how they can have two Superman. So
Well, I mean, if they're going to do that, we still have this extra Batman floating out there.
that's true too. Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean,
This
they can do a multiverse, and
Yes.
DC is known for doing that. So I can, yeah. So
Yeah,
that
if
makes
they
sense.
just go with Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3,
Exactly,
Earth
yeah.
whatever, I think they can pull it off. It's just there's just a lot of unknowns with what's going on over at DC. I'm excited James Gunn is going to be there. I'm a little concerned that it's going to be a Peacemaker universe
Yeah, see that I'm concerned about
with
that.
James Gunn.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is fairly family friendly with minor, with minor things. A few people flipping the bird and a few
Yeah.
strong language
Yeah.
lines, but not Peacemaker level. Oh, I can't watch this with my kids kind of stuff.
I have a feeling that DC is going to, and I hope I'm wrong. I have a feeling DC is going to continue I mean, I enjoy Suicide Squad, but the Suicide Squad Peacemaker, more of a cruder.
Yeah.
And I hope not. Because DC really needs to also be open to the mainstream if they want to be successful
Yeah.
too, and that means families.
Yeah. I mean,
so
there is a reason that most R-rated movies make back their budget but don't do $300-500 million dollars, $1 billion.
Yeah.
R-rated movies just don't.
exactly.
So it would be hard.
So yeah, just on the next topic, and I think we'll be done after that as far as the nerdy news. But this is going to kind of tie in a little bit. We're going to talk about later. Is Disney has now a new AI that can
I saw
make
this.
actors look younger or older, and we all know it started out with Rogue One. That's what I remember. In one
We
of the
saw Tarkin, right?
Tarkin,
Tarkin was kind of the guinea pig,
the guinea pig for that.
because
They even used it in the sequels.
not Alec Guinness. That's the wrong person.
No, I can't remember his
The
name.
actor that
but-
played Tarkin.
Yeah.
But he had passed away many, many years ago.
Yeah. Well, they did the same with Princess Leia. A lot of it in Rogue One. They also did it again. I see in the, I don't talk about the sequels that much, but the very last sequel where the Emperor came back and Tarkin was there at his side.
Yes.
Also, too, in The Mandalorian, when it came
Peter
to
Cushing, by the way, is
Peter Cushing,
who played
okay.
Tarkin.
End of The
and
Mandalorian
when-
as well, so with Luke
Yeah,
Skywalker.
and Tarkin, when we first saw Tarkin, it was kind of novel, but pretty obvious.
Yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, it was that was okay. I don't know. Surely this will get better.
I think they did it. It improved after the second appearance of Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. Much better. I mean, you could tell the difference from the first time Luke Skywalker showed up in one of the last episodes of The Mandalorian
Yep.
versus the next season. So it seems to
Well,
me
that was
they
technically
improved.
Book of Boba Fett.
Oh yeah. Oh well. You
Yeah,
saw how
the
I know.
Mandalorian 2.5.
2.0. Yeah, exactly. That seems about right. That seems about right. Oh my goodness.
But yes, there was a vast improvement from the brief moment we saw him on the bridge of that ship and seeing him on the planet a couple of years later. That definitely there was a vast improvement there, and it's a significant step from Tarkin or Leia
Yeah,
in
exactly. Yeah.
the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So I mean, but what we're going to talk about tonight, it's a step beyond.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So we'll talk about that in a minute, and I think we're going to go into some stupid news.
All right,
And
let's do it.
Let's go ahead and do that.
It's the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
Now, this next piece of news makes me want to move out of the country. I sometimes I go, how stupid can stupid news get? And this is apparently
And this is it.
this is it. This is it. Yeah. A Florida woman is suing
Of
Kraft.
course, I started to say, if this doesn't start with Florida, there's something wrong. So go ahead.
A Florida woman is suing Kraft for $5 million.
Kraft like the cheese maker.
Yes, sir.
Kraft singles and Kraft macaroni and cheese and Kraft whatever else Kraft makes. I don't know.
Exactly.
They make a lot of stuff.
The woman is saying Velveeta microwave mac and cheese takes longer to make than advertised.
Wait. Okay. How long is it supposed to take? Advertised.
Apparently, it's supposed to be 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes.
That's what's
And
apparently
it
is
takes
advertised.
longer than 3.5 minutes.
That's what the court document says in the lawsuit.
So if it takes like 7, that's twice as long. 7 minutes. That's still pretty fast.
Well, you have to understand the reasoning for the plaintiff. Let's kind of carry on. But
Okay.
the label on a cup of Velveeta's microwaver mac and cheese says the meal only takes 3.5 minutes to prepare.
Okay.
But a Florida woman says this is false, and she's suing the manufacturer for $5 million. Amanda Ramirez of Hialeah, Florida, has filed a proposed $5 million class action lawsuit against Kraft, alleging the food producer Velveeta shells and cheese takes longer than advertised prepare. The lawsuit claims that the packaging on the microwavable single serves cups of mac and cheese says, again, will be ready in 3.5 minutes, but it's false and misleading. The product instructions say to microwave the cup again for 3.5 minutes, but Ramirez attorneys argue this number doesn't account for the 4 steps it's required to prepare the pasta. 1, removing the lid, the sauce pouch,
Oh, okay.
adding water, microwaving, and don't forget the last step, stirring.
Okay.
The
So-
addition, yeah, go
so-
ahead.
So let's say it takes another 5 minutes. Let's just say 5 minutes.
Let's do that. Let's say 5 minutes.
5 minutes to make this mac and cheese on top of the 3.5. So 8.5 minutes. How many mac and cheeses would you have to make in your life to make it worth $1 million a minute?
Yeah.
I mean, if you make, I don't know, I'd have to do math, but
Yeah.
I mean, it would be hundreds of thousands of little containers of mac
Yeah.
and cheese to come up with an hourly rate that would even come close to $5 million.
Yeah. I don't know how you come up with the math, but apparently the lawyers feel otherwise. They believe the additional steps means it's impossible for mac and cheese to be ready in just 3.5 minutes, according to the complaint. Of course, Kraft Company dismissed the lawsuit as frivolous in a statement. Imagine that.
I can't imagine why.
But in additional to the $5 million in damages, the plaintiff is also seeking punitive damage from Kraft Company.
Punitive, okay?
Yes.
Because $5 million isn't enough.
No, it's not. Also, they asked for the company to be ordered to cease its deceptive advertising, as well as to be made to encourage a corrective advertising campaign, according to the court documents.
Oh my gosh.
Now, this little thing is the definition of stupid news, and I think I'm
Yes.
going to end it as that.
It's the Weird and Stupid News with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
To be fair, I did have another one, but I thought we should go on with the show. And basically, we'll talk about this next week, but it has a lot to do with Tulsa, Oklahoma. So Florida and Tulsa, Florida and Oklahoma, I wanted to be fair to the Floridians. So I'm going to leave it as that.
We do live in Oklahoma, and somebody did steal a Doritos truck and go on a joyride.
That's true. That's true. But we'll talk about the other
All
one
right.
next week. We'll save that goodie for then. So now we're going to take a ride on to Indiana Jones 5. They also have
The Dial of Destiny!
That's right. That's right. I mean, they could have called it the Zest of Destiny. It's also a soap product. But
The Dove of Destiny.
so going back to the recent nerdy news, where we're talking about de-aging,
Yes.
they've talked about it, and then the trailer is out now. Definitely, you can see that in many of the different
Yes.
shots of the trailer.
Lots of de-aged Harrison Ford.
It's interesting. Apparently it's in 1969, and of course, I guess this is during the space age, the race for the space age, and of course, in
Yes.
1969 is when I believe the first man landed on the moon.
Yes, there's a scene where there's in the trailer. If you haven't seen this trailer, you need to go see this trailer. So there's a scene, there's a ticker tape parade.
Exactly,
And the
yeah.
assumption is that, well, I don't know if this is assumption or if this is known, but everybody is saying this is the parade for the returning astronauts that landed on the moon.
And that is my guess as well. I'm thinking that that's probably what's happening. It would
Yeah.
make sense during that
So
time.
old Harrison Ford on a horse in a parade,
Just kind of
chasing a Nazi.
Exactly. And just kind of give you a little background of it, and this comes from CNET.com, just to kind of give you some information on it. Of course, we talked about it. Set in 1969, the movie finds the elderly Indiana Jones contending with the knowledge that the U.S. space program has ex-Nazis within it. And of course, Nazis, always fun to fight.
Nazis in the space program. That makes
There
sense.
you go. Which honestly, they had a lot of ex-Nazi engineers that were employed by NASA.
I was going to say that's actually fairly accurate because
Yeah.
we had people that defected from Germany. Some Jews, some
Yeah.
German nationals defected who were rocket scientists that worked
Exactly.
on the V1
V1
projects.
rockets, yes.
Yep, and came to the U.S. and I'm just gonna say, our rocket technology
Mm-hmm.
exploded after World War.
Now, not all the scientists, of course, was from the Nazi Party, but
No,
there were a
not.
few.
There were some.
Hitler wanted to have a rocket that would go across the ocean to hit the United States. That was a secret
Yes.
plan of his, but it never came about. Thank goodness, because the war ended, sooner than
Yes.
he expected. So in this, it's again, we see a lot of, seems like there's a lot of scenes that goes back into during the either late 30s or 40s. Kind of
Yes,
reminds me
I
a
had
little.
read.
Yeah,
I had
go
read
ahead.
a little bit about this, that there's a lot of time jumps in this
Yes.
movie, and there's a big question mark as to whether those are flashbacks or if this movie is going to have something to do with time travel. Have you heard
Interesting.
that?
I've heard comments like on Reddit and some of those
Okay.
forums, but I hadn't heard anything that was confirmed.
No one has confirmed anything, but a lot of people are saying the dial of destiny, and it has something to do with time travel.
Well,
And
yeah.
there are a couple of things that I don't think this is accurate, but a couple of people who are the kind of people who spend 30 minutes to talk about a trailer that just came
Yeah.
out on YouTube, kind of like
Yeah.
us, but they're brighter, have made some comments about it's possible that an old Indiana Jones meets his younger self.
Okay. We're going to have this whole Back to the Future kind of fading going on, but
Maybe.
it's
I don't know that that's accurate, but I think it's more likely flashbacks, but who knows?
Who
I
knows?
mean, we had Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Well, let's not mention that because I'm hoping this will be better. One
It
of the
looks really good, though.
It does, and we'll get into that in a minute. But I'm having a hard time with his last name. But Mads Mikkelsen, I don't know if
Yes.
that's the closest. Plays
That's the way I would pronounce it.
plays Voller, and he plays an ex-Nazi working on the U.S. space tech, and actually it's inspired by a real life engineer. I think is Warner von Braun.
Okay.
And so he might be the main baddie in this. You also see in the trailer actor John Rhys Davis, which I'm excited about. He reprises his role as Salah,
Yes.
the Egyptian excavator who joins Indy in 1981, and also the 89 Last Crusade. Some of the scenes that I see in this, by the way, kind of reminds me a little bit of The Last Crusade. Just
Yep.
some of the scenes, especially the one where they de-age Indiana Jones, which this is,
Yes.
I mean, look at that. Now, folks who are
That is
listening to the
really
podcast,
good.
those who are listening on the podcast, we do some images on here too, but there's a scene where Indiana Jones is in a German soldier outfit tied with the fireplace behind him. Very reminiscent of The Last Crusade, where him and his father, who was played by Sean Connery, were tied up to chairs in a castle
Yep.
that was being a headquarters for a certain German headquarters. But looks very familiar to that. In this too, of course, we don't see LaBeouf anywhere.
No Shia
His,
LaBeouf this time.
No, thank goodness for that. But he does have first I thought it was a daughter, but it's actually his goddaughter.
That's what he says in the trailer.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's accurate. And
Now,
then we
is-
don't find out later that she's really his real daughter.
Now, I don't watch the show, but it's the actress is Phoebe Waller-Bridge, which is best known for the Fleabag series on Amazon Prime Video. So, who plays Helena, Indy's goddaughter. At least that's what it says within the CNET. So this is giving props to CNET on some of the notes that I'm using.
And
But-
and what little we see of her in the trailer, it looks like she's going to have a great character.
Yeah, she looks really. I think yes, I think so too. There is one scene that I do want to mention that I thought was kind of funny, and there was one scene in the trailer that reminded me of Han Solo being the Millennium Falcon. There's one scene in it, and I'm sure.
Oh my gosh,
and it's basically,
really?
and it's in the it looks like it's in the nose of a bomber, which is
yeah.
B-52 or something like that.
Yeah,
but
something like
looking
that.
at it,
Oh my
it
gosh.
reminds me of the scene where the Falcon goes in hyperdrive and you see it in front of the dashboard.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that. But a lot of this kind of reminds me of some of a lot of the German Nazi scenes from the last Crusade, which is not a bad thing. I definitely
No.
enjoy that. But as you can, but it's basically based in 1969. And
Yep.
apparently, Indy is still teaching. I'm assuming in the same university that he was before.
Okay, so go back to that picture. So one of the breakdowns I read said that the thing on the screen looks suspiciously like a Death Star.
Interesting.
It looks a little like a squished Death Star, maybe.
And again,
Just
for you
because
folks, yeah, go ahead.
It's somewhat round and it has kind of a weird circle on it, like there would be a big space laser. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
it kind of remind me of a submerged ocean ocean
Yeah, like
ship
an old
or-
school diving
Yeah.
bell or something. Yes.
because within the trailer there is a scene where they're underwater.
Yes.
And it's so treasure underwater, I guess somehow will or something like that.
I'm
would
guessing
fall
that's going to
into-
be a flashback. Somebody's just talking about it.
Speaking of flashback, and I'm going to see if I have it here, and that's, and I don't know if is the scene where Indiana Jones and Helena basically does the whole boulder down the tunnel again, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, but this time
Except they're on the other side of
they
it.
on the other side, so they're creating that. I don't know. I saw that, and it was like, to me, I don't know if it's intentionally to be a nod back to the Raiders of the Lost Ark with the famous boulder running scene. But,
Or is this a time travel scene and they're the people who actually knocked the boulder off that rolls down the hill that Indiana has to run away from?
okay, now I'm starting to get scared. Okay, I'm starting to get scared, folks. If you're listening, I am an Indiana Jones fan from the first three movies. Crusade was one of my favorites.
Absolutely.
Raiders
Great movie.
was my favorite. Temple
Yes.
of Doom was okay.
It's okay.
Which, by the way, Temple of Doom is actually supposed to happen prior to Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
So,
Still
anyway.
better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Well, that's like saying the M word when it comes to Star Wars for me. And you can
my
say
gosh.
it so the folks at home knows what I'm referring to.
So midichlorian.
Okay, that's
oh my
it. That's
gosh.
all we're gonna say.
But so you don't want to embrace the idea that this is a time travel movie and they're going to go revisit each of the previous movies and they're going to be responsible for something that happened.
It's too sci-fi again. It's too sci-fi. I don't mind the supernatural that comes with some of the, but yeah, I'm not ready.
You don't
for
mind
this.
you don't mind melting Nazis.
Yeah,
God melting Nazis.
I don't mind that. That's
But you don't want Futurama to show up in your Indiana Jones.
No, I really don't. And I'm really scared that's what they're going to do. Thanks a lot. I wasn't thinking about that a whole lot, but thanks now. That's exactly what I'm going to be thinking about. I think we just end the show on that. I'm telling you. But that makes
Oh my
sense. There is a scene.
Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I hope that's not it.
But there's a lot of de-aging going on. There's a
Yes.
scene of the actor Mad Mikkelsen, who plays the I guess he does play the ex-Nazi engineer, but there is a
Yes.
scene that goes back in prior to the 1940s where
Yes.
basically he's one of the actors that get de-aged as well. There is another actor, I think his name is Cecil. I don't know where I've seen him before. Was it Captain America?
Toby
seen
Jones.
Toby Jones. I've seen him. He hasn't been in the previous Indiana Jones movie, has he? But he's so recognizable. I remember
Yeah, he's been in a lot of things.
I think he was in Captain America, the first Avenger.
He's Zola.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Zola. He's a Nazi in that movie.
So I'm not for sure apparently, but there is some type of relationship there. But there's a train sequence. There's a lot of the trailer, has to do with the time period of pre 1950s, the 1940s, basically. That has to do a lot with the Nazis, and part of it too is that there's a couple of cops, or I don't know if the cops or not. There was one in the trailer of a man in the motorcycle, and they're saying that a couple of them may have to be NSA agents that may be trying to keep Indiana Jones from exposing that these are former Nazis. I don't know. I just know that the NSA is supposed to be involved in this movie. So who knows? More and more I'm looking at this and I'm talking about this. I'm afraid that this is becoming a time travel movie. Now everything I'm looking at makes it's together. There's a scene with Harrison Ford, of course, in the present time of 1969, then talking to Sally, who is his friend who was in Raiders and Last Crusade, and he's trying to convince Indiana Jones that their adventures are not done yet, and so, and then he talks about he doesn't believe in I forget the line he uses, something about believing harder, but I don't know what the previous. Anyway, he doesn't believe in hocus pocus magical stuff.
I've come to believe it's not so much what you believe, but how hard you believe.
Yeah, which I don't understand what that means. But anyway,
I'm not sure what that means either. He basically says he's seen a lot of things. He doesn't believe in magic, but he's seen a lot of things he can't explain.
But in this, if you break down the trailer, the de-aging process, and I think a little bit about, in this topic, there was a lot that we wanted to talk about. You're very much special effects kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean there
is some scenes,
effects, the visual effects look really, really good.
Yeah, as far as
the stunt work looks phenomenal. The de-aging, honestly, it's super convincing.
It really is. It'll be interesting if it's going to be convincing throughout the film, because let's go back to Star Wars.
I don't think we see in this trailer. I don't think we see anyone talk while they're de-aged.
That's going to be a big deal.
That is the key.
That is going to be a big deal.
That has been my one thing. Every time I've seen someone talk when they're de-aged, it breaks the moment.
It really does, because we don't want a old gravelly Harrison Ford speaking through a young Indiana Jones. And that happened, it happened with Mark Hamill doing.
And the lips get weird.
Yes, it does.
Previously, the lips had gotten weird. They kind of lose. They're not exactly emoting correctly.
No,
they're close, but not perfect. So that's my big concern. But honestly, it looks so good.
Do you think
the cinematography is super impressive in this film?
It is.
Just the whole look of the film, like. Even if it is time travel, I kind of want to see it just because it looks so beautiful.
If it does, as long as they do it right, I'm fine. What's sad is, not sad. I watch this, I get goosebumps, I'm excited, and then at the same time, I'm scared to get excited.
Yes.
It almost reminds me of people talk about in the Game of Thrones. People say don't ever be attached to a certain character, because more than likely they will meet their demise. I feel this now about the Indiana Jones film. don't get your hopes up too much. It might be the demise of the film, but I'm hoping that they learned their lessons from the previous monstrosity that came out.
I hope so
And
too.
I hope so too.
And I do like some of the callbacks. There's only a few in the trailer that are real callbacks, but they are definitely they're definitely the George Lucas line of things rhyme.
Yeah.
The same thing doesn't happen twice, but they rhyme. And one of the best scenes is right at the end of the trailer, where Indiana is using his whip to frighten all these people, and they then pull out guns and point them at him, which is very reminiscent of the scene where there's a guy with 2 scimitars in the first Indiana Jones movie. He's swinging them all around. Indiana Jones just pulls out a gun and shoots him.
Exactly.
So, there's definitely some of that going on. And I think that's a fun little callback.
How do you like that?
Hey, Indiana, guess what? you were smarter back when you were young.
I know that in previous films that Harrison Ford took it upon himself to do a lot of these stunts. Of course, I'm sure that may not be it too. This is there's a scene in the Ticker Tape Parades where he's on a horse.
Yeah.
At first, I couldn't really recognize him. I thought his hair was grayer than I could remember. It looked a little bit different, but apparently there's a scene where he's running, down the parade line. So it'd be interesting. The big key is going to be the voice, and does the de-aging work well with the action?
Yes.
Because a lot of the scenes that we see with the de-aging is scenes that I have not seen a whole lot of action in, a lot of movement in. So that will be the key for this movie as far as being plausible or believable. I do have people in being plausible and believable. I know people I talk to, they talk about how stuff is not plausible through these films. And I said, well, you don't understand the origin of these films goes back to the 1940s and 30s serial films that were meant to be, or, a perfect example was let me use example of, I always go back to this, in the scene of The Last Crusade where Indiana Jones is standing on top of a tank. You have 4 Nazis in front of him, and he pulls out this small little pistol, shoots one of the Nazis, and apparently the bullets goes all the way through. And then Indiana Jones looks at the pistol like, okay, and it continues with the film. It is what it's supposed to be. It's not.
Yes.
And so now,
it doesn't always take itself too seriously.
But I think, for many of us, and even me who understands what the basis of the film's supposed to be, Crystal Skull jumped the shark for me in a lot of different areas. They did too much. They did too much. It was too much.
Honestly, I think that's part of my the second movie. What's it called?
Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom.
Yeah.
I think for me, Temple of Doom was kind of that way too.
Yeah.
I don't think it was as good a film. It was like they tried too hard on the humor.
I think so.
Rather than just letting the humor
happen.
Let it happen and then just move on. Let the crowd laugh, but the people in the movie don't have to dwell on it. It just, that was strange. All right, let's keep going. That's fine. But I feel like it tried a little too hard. And that's why I didn't care for it as much.
The first film, Raiders, and the last one, Last Crusade, seemed like they had some connection. There was a connection to one another. Temple of Doom seemed out of place. It seems like just one of the random novels of the Indiana Jones franchise. One of the least favorite ones that I care for. So there was no other recognizable characters as far from the first film and the third film. Short Round was a pretty cool character. I liked him.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was cool. The young man also played in the Goonies, so that was the young kid who played Short Round. But anyway, getting off of that topic.
Speaking of things that we're not quite sure about in this movie, Antonio Banderas is in the movie.
Yes, I saw that. I went to IMDb and I saw
And
the
there's
actors.
there's one clip of him, the guy that he's kind of sitting on I don't know if he's sitting on the edge of a bed or on a chair. He's
I
just
was
kind of
trying to
looking
make
at the screen. That's Antonio Banderas.
I was trying to figure out who this was
Yeah,
because looking at him, and I
does not look like him.
does not. And I'm looking at some of the stuff behind him. If you look in the trailer closely, it looks like there's a banjo to his right.
Yes.
You try to look at different parts of that scene. It's almost like it looks like
I can't
he's in
figure out what that is or where he's supposed to
yeah.
be.
It's almost like it's in a shed or a tool area, but he has photos and pictures. So there's some kind of connection there, and I'm not for sure. I don't know if it's going to be, is he going to be a villain like if Indy did something to him in the past and he didn't know who it was. But I don't know. But that was the only scene
Not
we
sure.
saw him in. So I don't know.
And there are a couple of other actors that are maybe not as well known that don't have character names yet.
Yeah,
So I think there are going to be some surprises here,
I think so too.
and we'll have to wait and see what they are.
Again, going back, looking at the trailer itself was better than I expected.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think what's going to happen here is one of two things. We have our generation, the Xers, who grew up with Indiana Jones and then who was very disappointed with the Crystal Skull. And the advantage to that is that lowered the bar, which hopefully will make it easier for the Mariahs above it.
Yes.
We have this new generation coming out this new millennials or the Zs, I guess you call them. Many of them, mainly the Zs, I believe, the current generation. A lot of them, I don't believe, really understand the Indiana Jones. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not a marketable everyday thing like Star Wars, for instance. And so it'd be interesting. The comments will be made from that generation, and even the millennials, of course. And we go in knowing, for the most part, the storyline, at least is the connections from the past three films. I'm not including the last one, but so. Any thoughts when you watched the trailer? What was your anything that caught your eye, or because I enjoyed it. I love the trailer.
I thought the trailer was really good. I don't know that there's anything that really caught my eye specifically. I mean, it seems like there's a lot of train sequence.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, is that really going to be a major portion of the movie? Or is that just the action scene they've already finished?
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of time hopping, even if it's not time travel. I think we're going to be hopping around a lot for flashback kind of things.
Yeah.
And that could make it hard to follow the film.
We're just for the sake of argument, or just looking at our crystal ball of what this film may look like. Another thing, the Crystal Skull. Oh man, I knew I was opening myself up to that. But you think about it, Mikkelsen, he plays an ex-Nazi. He's, from my understanding, an engineer.
And he's a great actor.
Great actor. Looks like he's Mikkelsen, ex-Nazi, engineer, rocket scientist,
Yeah.
hired for NASA. Maybe something evil is a plot that's coming up, something he's going to do.
Yes.
Indy finds out, and he goes back in time to stop him. I don't know.
Go back and kill baby Hitler.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Or
hope not.
or take out his art professor and tell him how great his painting is.
Well, there's that.
I mean, I think that it all stems there. No,
Yeah, it does. You're not wrong.
I mean, so I don't know, but
I think it looks great.
I do too.
I am more hopeful after watching the trailer.
I am too.
I'm a little concerned about the time travel rumors,
Yeah.
especially after watching the trailer.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest issue is going to be if we're hopping around a lot, they're going to have to write this in such a way that it's easy to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, I can get convoluted real quick.
Yeah, if you're time hopping a lot, people can get lost in the muddle, and then they get if they get too lost, then they will not like the film,
Yeah.
or at least that will be their comment. Yeah, it was okay. It wasn't great.
And
It was a little confusing.
Yeah. And I can go for the time travel if it's done right.
Yeah.
Again, we have to understand what kind of film this is, but again, they can't go over the top like they did last time. It has to be
Yeah.
nothing is plausible, but the deal is in that world, make it plausible for that universe, for that world,
Yes.
if that makes any sense. So hopefully this will, I really do hope that this will go really well. It's supposed to come out June 29th,
Yes.
29th, the June 29th.
So this will be the summer blockbuster.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully this will turn out. I hope to be surprised. But anyhow, so
I'm looking forward to it.
those of you who watch us on our YouTube channel or catch us, you can go speakingnerdy.com, and you can also check out our podcast. It's also on there. We have hundreds of podcasts on there, so check us out. But we would like to have your comments.
Yep.
Let us know what you think about the trailers. Let us know if it's something you're excited about, you're not excited about, you're worried about. Just let us know and what you think about what you saw on the trailer of Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny. Like I said, if there's just leave your comments below. Let us know what you think. And, we would love to see what you have to say. And
Yes.
I'm sure a lot of you are kind of in the same boat as we are. I'm hoping, if you're an Indiana Jones fan, we're all hoping that this will be something that will put a nice little bow to the end of the franchise.
Yes. It will be, if this is good, it will be a nice send-off for Harrison Ford.
I think so.
If it's bad, I'm afraid he'll want to do another one.
Well, let's all hope that this will be fantastic.
Yes. I love Harrison Ford.
I
but
do too. I'm a big fan.
Harrison, it's just time to hang up the hat and the whip.
It just really is. Yeah.
It really is.
It really is.
Anything
Well,
else, my friend?
That's all I have. You can get our content on speakingnerdy.com. We have
Yes.
there you can watch. There's a little dial that says watch, which will take us to our YouTube page, or listen, where you can actually will have all our content, that audio contact from our podcast, or you can just check us out from any of your favorite streaming services, from Apple to Spotify to whatever. We're on all of it, so check us out there.
Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, I guess we'll wrap it up.
Let's wrap this thing up.
It's the Speaking Nerdy podcast with your host, Mr. Mike Schilling.
And my good friend and compadre, Mr. Ricky Pope.
This would be a perfect time for you to go change into your first shirt again,
That would be really cool, wouldn't it?
and then we could have, like a time hop, and it's a time travel thing.
Ooh, time travel. Let me go find it real quick. You want to do that? No, I don't really want to do that. That takes too much work. Nah, I think we just end it as that.
Yeah.